so we'll kick off. For those of you, I think I know everybody, but I'm Mari, Cannabis the North Assessment Board. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the board does, so I don't want to now need your advice. But thank you for coming and thanks for making the trip. And like I said, I think that we'll finish a little early today, but we did want to provide ample time because it's not often we get this many partners in one space. So it's a really good time to sort of share ideas and ask questions. A couple of housekeeping things. So the bathrooms, there's two. There's one right outside the door here to the left and then one at the end of the hallway. There's bananas and sugar for when blood sugar drops and you start to fall asleep. There's a little kitchenette right around the door here that has water and cups if you need water. Lunch will be delivered at 11:45. That's and we're going to have sandwiches and fruit and some other stuff coming from Lynn's Meats. There will be meat. And then in terms of anything else, if you have any questions, it's sort of informal, so we can sort of just go with it. We do have an order, so if you have an agenda, you'll know where you fall. Everybody gets about 10 to 15 minutes, and then if you have materials, go ahead and pass them out when you start talking, so that everybody, you're going to end here with like a stack, so that these people can keep track of who's covering what and who belongs with what. We will share everything. We'll get everything up on our website. We will save the recording, bookmark it, like I mentioned, so that if you need to refer back, you can. And then I think that's about it. So last time we did this, we had people come up to the front. A couple of you have asked me, just stay where you are. I don't have a preference. Do you guys have a preference? Is it easier to be up here? So if I'm up here, my back's still going to be to the video, so it may actually be easier to stay where we are, unless you guys really like to get up front. Fine. So that's it. Yes. So Kristen and Brad, you guys can stick your tongues out and make all the faces you want. So well, with that, welcome. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to come up. I think this is always beneficial. We always Milwaukee, some from Claire, some from Wausau, so we're bringing them all in. It's kind of nice to not have to try to all of those places for once. So with that, we will kick off since it'll be a natural transition, and then we'll just start looking through the agenda. Does anybody have any questions before we start? So I'm going to hold. Do you want to do introductions now, or do you want to let that be part of your time? Would it be easier to do introductions now so somebody asks a question, you know who's asking? Okay.
Sure.
All right, then we're going to start with you.
Okay. My name is Brad Guest. I'm Dean of Business and Industry and Continuing Education from NTC.
Crystal Rohde, I work with Northwest Regional Planning Commission, 10 counties in Northwest Wisconsin. I also administer our Regional Economic Development Group.
I'm Leah Lange. I work for the IFLIST library system that serves public libraries in 10 counties in west central Wisconsin, but I'm also kind of here on behalf of the library systems that are more up here.
And I'm Doug Leslie. I'm the CEO for Workforce Resources.
Brian Peterson, Office of Veteran Employment Services.
Rebecca Wilberg at Job Center in Superior.
Andy Johnson, Job Service.
Jennifer Shear, CEO of Indianhead Community Action Agency.
Thomas Michaels, I'm an economist with the Department of Workforce Development.
Maritza Cavan, I work with UMOS out of Milwaukee, a lead case manager with the WIOA 167 program in Wisconsin.
Tim McCrae, I'm Director of Academic Support at WITC out of Rice Lake.
Marsha Iverson-Smith, I'm with WITC. Literacy. And whatever. Watch for
I'm Gideon Taylor Duke. I'm a DPR counselor. I'm covering for Thomas Draghi for DPR today.
Winnie Momberg, I am a business consultant with Northwest Sub. I project manager for the Transitional Jobs Program and also work with the WIOA program.
I'm Mary Lillis Volka. I'm the Sector and Strategies Coordinator.
Paul Zarafska, Operations and Communications Manager.
All right, you know who everybody is. So we're going to kick off. We're going to talk a little bit about the board. I'm actually going to turn it over to the two staff to talk about their programs a little bit, but I just want to kick off. Obviously, we convene the group, so we are responsible for the employment and training activities under WIOA Title 1B. So for the 10 northwestern counties. So we go Bryce and Taylor all the way up to Douglas, across the Rusk, and then back over to Iron to further down. Our role is we all work for the board. So Wisconsin has 11 areas. If you're not familiar, some of you are very familiar. Everyone has a private sector-led board, and they set the strategy, direction, and maintain oversight over the WIOA programs that are occurring in there. We also have some level of oversight and responsibility for the Adult Basic Ed program, which would be under the WIOA title, the DBR programs, which are under there, and some of the other WIOA titles as well. And then we partner with basically everybody that's here in the room and more. So we're always looking to leverage and bring more resources to the table to serve the citizens in our 10 counties or those who will commute into our 10 counties. So I wanted to just, I'm going to pass this out. One of the things that our board is working on, and it sort of is shaping all of the work that we do, and I just wanted to mention it because it's, run that over to everybody. Because it's shaping how we look at workforce development in Northwest Wisconsin. And last summer, we became part of a national community of practice. We were selected as one of 12 in the nation that's working on family-centered employment initiatives. So it's often called 2Gen. Sometimes it's called family-centered employment. Sometimes it's called 3Gen, Next Gen. It's got all kinds of different names, but it's all the same premise. And so it's looking at the family as the consumer, not just the job seeker. So if a job seeker doesn't have quality childcare, or that child isn't in quality childcare, that's our next customer, very likely. So working with the whole family so that the entire family is successful. We do look at almost like a 3Gen model, especially in our tribal communities because we have so many elders raising grandchildren. So we got 3 generations in some of those families. But it's our new guiding principle, and as we work into our strategic plan 2020, the board did adopt this as sort of our overarching umbrella as to how we set up all of our programs. So it's a little bit different than what we've done in the past, where we had high unemployment rates. Individuals would come in, you want to go to training, here's your training voucher, good luck. It's how do we work with this person in a more holistic fashion and make sure that their children are in childcare. We have aging parents that we're working them through like the ADRC or other locations like that. If there's foster care situations, if there's AODA issues, what is the need? Because this person's never going to be successful in work until we can start to check off some of those different barriers that they're experiencing, or at least assist them with those. And so it's just a little bit different models. So we gave you a couple of different really fabulous graphics from the Aspen Institute that talks a lot about, working with this so that you can maybe stop the cycle in some cases, or at least ensure that the young children are set up in a better way to be successful in the workforce, and that the parent is able to obtain family-sustaining employment and get the supports that they need. So I wanted to share this model with you because you're going to hear a lot more about it. We're thrilled to be part of this national community of practice. We've been out to DC, we're heading out to Santa Fe, and they're sort of cutting edge, and it's funded by Aspen Institute Sun, and Innovate Educate, and the National Association of Workforce Boards is the group that's doing it. And it's great work, and I think it's expanded our partnerships and our possibilities so much more that it's a positive thing. We actually just worked with NTC, or we tried to work with them. A grant just came out to do workforce services for family-centered employment. We had metropolitan area, 50,000 or more. Turns out, once you get north of 29, there's not a whole lot of those. As hard as you may try, it's like, Wausau was like 39. It was so close. But lots of good things coming that way. So I did just want to you, so that we sort of keep that in mind as we move forward. And then I'm going to let Mary Lois talk about some of her programs, and then what's up?
I'm just going to kind of segue off of that piece. So one of the things that the Workforce Board, under this family-centered employment model that we've been really in the beginning stages of piloting, is that community navigation of services. And one program in particular, the Wisconsin Share Subsidy program, has been one that we have been really getting our feet wet with. So through our work with the Evergrow Learning Center, the nonprofit childcare center that we're developing in Enhancement, we've been learning more about Wisconsin Share Subsidies and how can we promote this as a resource. And currently, the program is underutilized, and only 10% of eligible families are taking advantage of subsidies. So that's one of our focuses with the providing services and through the continuum looking at the whole family that we really want to provide awareness of. And there's this wonderful information for staff that I was able to find that can answer all of your questions about the program, how to have access, and how to just make sure that you're understanding what the eligibility requirements of it are.
So I've got my list here, so just bear with me as I go through. So, a couple of different things that we are a part of or we're working on. So we have our business services team and actually several of now. So our regional business services team is made up of business services representatives from many of the partners in the room. We meet bi-monthly to sort of catch each other up on programs and initiatives that are happening, different things that we're all hearing from employers. We go on employer tours, which are really fun. We get to sort of check out what's happening in our own backyard, and we sort of jump around to various locations at all of our meetings. We also will do employer spotlights where we'll do like a Facebook Live interview and feature employers on our page, and then the partners can share, again, to sort of help get the word out on interview employers on what kind of job openings they have, how to apply for jobs, and all different things that's like maybe job seekers would be looking for. And then we also just do all of the general business services outreach as a team. So that's one of the things that I coordinate and that we sort of oversee. We also do many customized training programs, and these are either funded WIOA or grant funded. And again, partner with various training entities, whether it be our local tech colleges or other training entities such as the National Retail Federation or AARP. Constantly sort of looking at new training programs that we can do. And again, it's mostly employer-led. So based on the information that we're gathering from employers on what they're looking for and some labor market information provided by our work, and just sort of all information that we're gathering sort of helps guide those training programs put forth. And they're really fun and exciting. And so one of the focuses that we've sort of seen a shift in recently is we're focusing a lot more on our reentry population. We've been doing several programs in our local county jails. We developed a really strong partnership with Fayetteville County Jail. Initially, they actually have a reentry grant that helps fund a lot of the programs. So by developing a close partnership with them, we've been able to do some sort of trial training programs with them that have been really successful. And through that partnership, we've then been able to open the doors to other jails as well. We've done training programs in the Sawyer County Jail. And this week, we're wrapping up a training program in partnership with Price County Jail where we're doing a welding boot camp, and that's funded through a short-term training reentry grant. So constantly looking at, again, how we can sort of train that population. And again, that's based on our workforce right now and sort of employers expressing that they're looking at not as strenuous background checks as maybe they once before, just based on the current. Another program, I run through these too quickly or no? Okay. So I also am, I am in the liaison for the wages grant. Sorry, that's going to pass. And so this is a statewide grant for apprenticeship training, and I'm passing out a handout that explains a lot of it. But it's to increase apprenticeships in 3 industries. So it's advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and IT over a 5-year period, and it hopes to train 1,000 new apprentices in those programs. You'll see on the list there that they've developed all of these new training programs or apprenticeship programs, and I see here too that under information technology, so IT, actually WITC just approved their broadband technician program too, so that one can be added to this list as well. So my job again for the wages grant is working with businesses to help them sort of understand more about the apprenticeship programs in hopes that they will then hire more apprentices. So if you have any businesses that are interested in learning more about apprenticeship programs, you can contact me. If you have folks that are interested in becoming an apprentice, I can then connect you to the right person that would be our regional apprenticeship training representative who works directly through the Bureau of Apprenticeship Standards as an apprentice with the business. Any questions on wages at all? And then the last thing that I want to touch on is our Workforce Waves podcast. If none of you have checked it out, we do monthly, but sometimes more often than that, podcasts focusing on trends in our rural area, but sort of focusing on rural communities in general. There's a lot of podcasts out there, several on workforce and more urban areas, and so we're sort of hoping that we're breaking how to be innovative in our rural communities as far as workforce goes. They're really fun. It's one of us, and sometimes we get the giggles, and it's usually about 20 minutes long, and so check them out. You can either download our Workforce Waves app, or you can find them on our website. There's a link to the podcast.
But if you put the app on your phone, then you'll get a notification every time there's a new one. It's very exciting. Some of you have long drives, just think. It could be on your way home.
Yeah, on your way home.
But there are some really interesting ones, and with some pretty well-known nationals. Emily Baxter, We Are All Criminals. Looking at dare you judge other people because you break the law on a daily basis. And then there was some really great ones with like an Airbnb for reentry out in San Francisco that they're working on, where it's just a great way instead of putting them into transitional housing, which usually just exacerbates the issue. We've had some really, we talked to Lincoln, Nebraska about a cool internship program that they're doing. So we've had some really sort of fun podcasts. We talked to Whitecap the day before it burned down about everything that they were doing. I was listening. But they're rebuilding, and he was able to like add into our podcast later that, yep, like keep it going because we want people to know. So yeah, but you can get the app on iTunes or Google Play or wherever kind of one. So I'll just wrap up. So we sort of have our fingers in a lot, but we're always looking to expand, and we're always looking. So WIOA, the I actually does stand for innovation, and a lot of the times that gets lost, as it does in most state or federal programs when you're working so hard for compliance that you're not innovating. And so we are always looking for new partners and new opportunities. We have a pretty extensive network in terms of funding and resources, and we've sort of been working to set ourselves up so that we're where we need to be for where we think it's going. So if you ever have a question or you're not sure, or you just sort of need a contact, or you have a really good idea but you think it might be kind of cool, we're usually pretty open to those. And we'll try to work with it to make it work. So that's what we're here for. We'll be adding another staff member in a couple of months who's going to focus just on the family-centered employment, which will be wonderful because it needs its own person. So yeah, so we're here. I have cards. I think most of you have my contact information because you're all here, which means you got the agenda and the invite. But if you, again, ever have questions just about the workforce system or like who would be the best contact, and just call and we'll point you or at least try to help you get to like. That's us. I don't know which one of you is doing it.
I guess I'll start. My name is Andrew Johnson. I work with Job Service, which many of you know about, but it's part of the Department of Workforce Development. We work out of the Division of Employment and Training. So, we have some other DWD people here that work in different divisions like DVR and OEA. And so that's kind of our umbrella is DWD, and then we're part of the DEP division. Our mission is to work with both job seekers and employers and connect the two together. The main programs of Job Service is running, we have 2 job centers in our district, one in Superior and one in Phillips, and Rebecca will talk about those. We also put on classes called Reemployment Services classes, and they're for people that are unemployed. And basically it's to teach, show people that are unemployed new job search techniques, because a lot of people they become unemployed after being employed for lots of years. And so it's just to kind of get them up to speed and also to tell them about UI requirement. We also administer the trade adjustment assistance programs. And that's a program for people that are dislocated due to foreign competition, or their companies are located sent abroad. And usually when we work that program, I'm the main coordinator for that for our district. And we work highly with our WIO provider in the area, Northwest SEP, sorry. And that is to retrain people from jobs that got sent overseas into current, jobs that are in demand. And we currently are we've had some big numbers and we're kind of on the downslope on that. In recent years, Caterpillar over in Prentice had a petition and we had 187, I believe it was 187 dislocated workers from that. And in Ladysmith, we had a place called Owens Corning that closed, and we had dislocated workers from that. We've had lots of dislocated workers over the years through foreign competition, but right now we're at the low end of that petition. We also work with at Job Service. We work through the job. We have a website called the jobcenterwisconsin.com, and I sent you the little flyers for that. And that's our part of the American Labor Exchange System. So every state has a site like that. I believe Minnesota's is called Minnesota Works. And really it's a program to put job seekers with employers. It's a free service for both ends, the employers and the job seekers. It's fairly easy to use once you get through the initial registration on the website. Because it is a federal program and we get federal dollars, it does require registration and a few hoops to jump through. If anybody has any issues with that and would like to know more about it, I'd be glad to talk to them later on about it. Also on the jobcenterwisconsin.com, you can access a lot of information like Thomas's information on Wisconsin. There's links to DVR apprenticeships and all kinds of information that would be available for job seekers and employers. And we also do business services, but we in our district in WDA 7, we do it as a supportive role. DVR, we let DVR and SEP will take the lead in business services, and we try to support them on the back end through jobcenterwisconsin.com and other ways that we can help out. We feel that with business services, job service, we don't want to harm the employers, so we let DVR and SEP take the lead. Otherwise, you got 5 or 6, because of the low number of businesses in our area, we don't want everybody's, if you're an employer, you don't want 10 people stopping anyway to each employer.
I'm going to talk about actually job servers or job center services. So in each job center across the state, there's different partner agents that are all involved in workforce development. Obviously, there's concentrated Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. The Economist is housed, Tom Michaels, in our job center. We have a veterans representative that works with disabled vets in the job center. So we all have partners where we kind of inter-refer amongst programs and try to get people out into the workforce. One of the things that the Job Center in Superior is very fond of doing is hosting hiring fairs for employers to come in and try to recruit job candidates. Many times those employers might be temporary help agencies or staffing agencies, I should say. I think they're trying to get away from the temporary help title. But staffing agencies trying to find employees for local employers. Oftentimes we'll have employers who are in a desperate need to find many people that will have hiring fairs within the job center. I work I'm a career counselor by trade, but I do a lot of different things in the job center to support getting people into work. And that includes working with specialty populations such as probation and parole and child support enforcement, trying to get those folks out once they're released from prison into jobs. Child support, trying to prevent them from going to jail, because if you don't pay child support in the state of Wisconsin, you will eventually go to jail. So working with some of those specialized populations that have high needs in terms of carving out jobs for them or finding situations that work for them. In a lot of instances, it's very difficult to find a sex offender a job that's compliant with their rules and regulations, but manage to do that many times over. I also work with the high school and recruiting high schooler and trying to provide occupational information to high school kids. We developed a program that came about as part of the Superior Roundtable, where we go into the high school and we go have business lunches, where we invite employers in during the lunch hour to set up a table with information about their businesses, and students can come in and approach the employer and have one-on-one conversations with them about, here's what it requires educationally to do the type of jobs that we have. Here's what we do. There's a lot of people in Superior itself who've lived there all their lives that don't really understand all of the opportunities that are there. And if I said, Tom, what's the thickened beverage product? Kent Foods. A lot of people have no clue what that is, but they make a thickened beverage product for people who have had strokes that allows them to swallow that product and meet their nutritional needs. And then people don't realize that, yeah, they have chemists, they have quality control people, they have packaging people, shipping people, so there's a wide range of jobs in that particular employer. But really trying to focus on making students aware, here's what jobs are in your own community. This year, we're also going to partner with the technical colleges when we have like programs. For example, if we have a welding company come in, we're going to have the technical school come in and also promote their welding program as a way to connect the dots for students. Another thing that I got involved with the technical school system on is teaching career readiness classes at Florida Correctional when they have their welding boot camps or their construction boot camps. Working with the transition coordinator from the high school, we've also set up a job placement enclave with a particular employer where we've got students with disabilities that go out in the afternoon and work for this employer and get a real life taste of, hey, here's what it's like to work with a real employer where you're punching a clock and you have to listen to a supervisor and you have to adult and behave and you can't have minor explosions. So that's kind of another way we're working with the workforce. I've also partnered with a local employer as well as the high school to work on a fast forward grant for industry to beef up some of the work sites that they have. But that's kind of a snapshot of what each one of us does. I know in Phillips that Marquina is going to start reaching out. Our Andy person over there is going to start reaching out and work with corrections as well and develop some programs. So that's kind of what the job center is about.
Any questions for us?
EDR. Hello. So obviously I'm not Thomas Grady, who's on vacation today. So nice to get me. I'm a counselor, Dean Taylor Duke. I'm going to pass out a couple different things. He told me just to kind of go over EDR 101. I've never been to these before, so I'm going to pass out our Think Possibility handouts. One's for students and one's for adults. So if you'd like more, please feel free to. My office is actually right behind here, so pretty simple walk over this morning. And so I'm also going to pass out our both rehab process. So starting from eligibility all the way up to closure, so that because we sometimes give these to consumers so they understand the process and kind of what goes for them. And there is some sample questions they may have that we get typical questions throughout the process. So really it starts with a referral. We get referrals from all sources, both of our partners here. We get them from doctors, counselors, schools, it can be anywhere. So we work with either students or adults with disabilities, so we can start 2 years prior to graduation. And we've also started the the eligibility pilot, where it's gonna be for students that are younger than 2 years prior to eligibility, called potentially eligible. And that is in the high schools now. We've started using it up in our areas, mostly to help get us some numbers, because some of our schools are pretty small, and so we don't always have the higher numbers that other WDAs have. And so that's potentially eligible, and they only get 5 core services from our pre-eds services that we provide. So kind of like our skills pay the bills classes that we use vendors for, things like that. Some of the services, you know, once we get them through eligibility, which can take up to 60 days, we have to get those records in, we work with them. We also have the SVRI eligibility process now, where whoever's doing the intake here at DVR, we will send to SVRI for completion. So they are the ones that kind of help us gather records, and they do recommendations for eligibilities, but then the counselors get them back and we complete those. We go over the records and make sure everything's appropriate for our eligibility process. And consumers can decline out of that service. A lot of them tend to up in this area just because of cell phone coverage. They can't have that phone call with SVRI, or there's too many people on the team. Like they're very supported employment and have multiple, like they have guardians and long-term supports and things like that. It can be a little difficult for them to have that conversation on the phone. So usually the counselor just does that intake. Then we do our IPE development, which can take up to 90 days. And during those 90 days, that's where we are meeting with the consumer, providing vocational counseling and guidance, and determining what services we need to provide on the IPE to get them to that end goal. And so we might do some career exploration, so different interest inventories or career inventories. We do, you know, talk about different types of experiences they may want to have. So trying out jobs, like on the job assessments, trial work experiences where we pay 100% of the wages for up to 90 days for a consumer to try a job. And then we also have youth OJTs and adult OJTs. And so what those are is on-the-job trainings where we pay different amounts depending on if it's a youth, an in-school youth, or if it's an adult. For in-school youth, we pay 100% of the wages for either up to 500 hours or until they no longer meet the requirement of being an in-school youth. So whichever is the less amount. And then the adult, we pay 50% of the wages for 90 days. It's pretty straightforward. And those are some incentives that we offer to employers to kind of help give consumers a chance to try employment or to give them a more equal playing field during that time of starting employment due to their disabilities, because during that time we can do AT assessments, you know, we can do accommodations on the job, or better just preparing them for employment and trying to get on track of learning that job. We do have a business service consultant who is also on vacation, and he couldn't be here. His name is Jeffrey Pooler, and he's the one that goes out and talks to all of our businesses in the 10 counties, and he offers different services to employers, talks to them about DVR and incentives for working with DVR consumers. A lot of what we just kind of went over. Not sure if anyone had any questions or anything. Tom has more information, and I did bring his business card because, like I said, I'm more of the counselor, so I know my fit very well. I don't know Tom's very well, so he has more information. So I don't know if anyone wants me to pass out his card. I guess that would be helpful. Are there any questions right now, like of more information you would like?
If someone wanted to, like say an individual came into the library and wasn't aware of your services, how would that referral look?
The library, sometimes people know about DVR services. Otherwise, they can go directly to our website, which is on the business card or on the sheet that I just handed out. And there is an online referral that they would fill out, and it comes directly to wherever they put their service area.
Okay.
And it'll look different based on where they're at in the state, because up here in WDA 7, we're a little different. We're not all in job centers like the rest of the state. Like our office is right here. We don't have a job center in here. And I cover Washburn and Burnett counties, so I travel to my county, so I just have space available when I can. And then some WDAs have orientations. We don't have that here because of the small numbers that we get throughout the month, so we don't have the luxury of being able to get everyone in one meeting room at one time a month. So we tend to do one-on-one intakes with them rather than group orientations. So it's different based on where they're going to be in the state. But for up here, they're usually one-on-one intakes. When we get that referral, we'll call them and set up an appointment.
I just want to clarify. So if someone comes into a library and a librarian maybe recognizes that they might need this, but the best thing, then they would they suggest here, if you go to this website, you can refer yourself to this program? Is that right? People can refer themselves. Okay.
Yeah, we don't get too many self-referrals unless they've already been through our system. The majority of them come through like our partners or through medical doctors or counselors or things like that, or the school directly. So we don't get too many. We also partner with our tribal partners. So we work with them pretty closely. I'm a tribal liaison for both St. Croix and LCO tribes. And so we get a lot from their programs as well. Self-referrals sometimes come through, like if they have a friend or family that have already been through the system and they're like, I think you would qualify, and then we get a lot of those types of self-referrals. But the majority of them come from partner agencies.
Just call the 800 number that's on the back of that brochure.
Yep, they can call that, and they'll most likely either get a referral in the mail, or they will be directed to our website based on what their availability is. Like some people don't have access to a computer to go on the website, so we'll send referrals as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, my name's Tim McCraith. I am very tempted to get up and stand in front of the room.
You go ahead. If you want to go, you go.
I'm new in this position as Director of Academic Support Center. About 3 weeks in, I'm coming off 12 years of being a communications instructor at WITC Rice Lake. That's why I wanted to stand up and say, this is what we're going to do today. But I'm excited to be in the position. What I'd like to hand out is a list of some of the people who are working for WITC, and I'll be overseeing. I'm learning a lot of the acronyms and working with grants. First of all, I oversee these people, and then we also have writing and math labs, and we have academic coaches. And so these are some of the people I'll be overseeing, and some of the services that I'm working with a lot of you on providing for our community. I'm going to be based in Rice Lake, but I imagine I'm going to need new tires and exhaust and brakes, because I do plan to be driving around the region as well and meeting partners and going to events like this. This is very timely for me to meet all of you face to face, so I appreciate that. My information is at the top there, and in lieu of a business card, this is what I have. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Marcia, who has been involved in this longer than I have, although I did, when I first started working part-time for WITC, I worked in adult basic education and was an instructor at Barron County and Washburn County jails, so I'm familiar with it. But then ended up going into full-time communications instructor, now kind of coming around full circle. I know there's been some interim people and shorter time, full-time people, but I'm hoping to be around for a while. I live in Birchwood, so it's a nice commute for me up through the woods. Looking forward to working with you all at that.
I'm Marcia Iverson-Smith, and I'm an instructor in the Academic Support Center at the Rice Lake campus, and also I teach for WITC, ELL, and Barron. The one thing that I wanted to just stress is how much I appreciate the other agencies and how many referrals I try to do. I have students, we're usually students that are coming to get their GED or brush up on skills because they're not prepared to enter college yet. So when we're working with them, we start with the educational plan, and I just want to pass this out because the first part is the educational goal, and then below it is a career and employment goal. But we also have lists of the agencies that we try to refer the students to, or else sometimes we get referrals from. So, for example, I just had a student the other day who was coming to get her GED, and she wants to take the CNA course, the Certified Nursing Assistant. She doesn't have money to pay for it. So the first thing I suggested is, well, we could go to work with Workforce Resources and check with funding. So I sent her with this paper filled out with some information. So she went there already saying, I'm enrolled at WITC in the GED. Gave her the information for the nursing class, the cost, so she could take it to them and already have a starting point of what she needed to do. And so that's how our referrals work, and to work real closely with the agent. So I just want to pass this out so you have an idea. And the other thing too is once a student enrolls with us, on some of our grant forms, we have where they can sign off, where we share TABE testing information and scores and things like that with other agencies, so we don't have to keep replicating and redoing the same things. So I just want to pass, I only have a few of these, so if the agencies that are the same can kind of share, we can get copies. But that's just a little overview of what the initial intake with some of our students would be. And then also, if you want to refer students to us, that's where you would kind of look at this paper for the area that you're at and find the college. And the other portion, I work with the literacy councils. And so I'm going to pass out a paper that has some of the area literacy council contact people and locations. And some of that is just starting to take off a little bit. I don't have to print a lot of those either. But those can be found at Wisconsin Literacy. Their main website has a list of all the literacy organizations in the state, but this is the upper region.
There's not one for J.D. Smith?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be part of our work too, is making sure we do get people in the right places.
Right.
I'm looking for an instructor for the Douglas County Jail right now, looking at connections with Washburn County Jail, and I think a lot of it is, a lot of times these aren't full-time positions, so there's some turnover. And then just questions that people have for WITC? Yeah.
Do you have many students who maybe have a GED already, but or high school diploma, but any digital literacy skills? And is that something you work on? Like if people haven't really used computer much?
We do. Okay. Yep. And we even have a technology center right in our at the campus that specifically works with digital literacy.
And then just to clarify, are those services free?
Yes, this academic support services are free. Preparation for the GED is free. When it comes, we have vouchers to do the GED Ready, the practice tests. So that's paid for. And then if a student doesn't have money to pay, we have the WITC Foundation that helps pay for official GED tests, but also the other agencies that will pay for GED testing. So that's another important piece, that the collaboration that we do.
I think you're up.
Okay.
You're our
audience.
I'm a visual gal,
so
set the bar.
like I said to Brad though, this
sort of a token presentation that we give. So I wanted to provide everyone around the room with kind of a comprehensive overview, which I won't go through it in great detail today visually, but in the handout that you have, it kind of gives like I said, a detailed overview of the organization. We have many different branches at Northwest Regional Planning Commission. We have our hands in a lot of different things as well. We don't focus as much on workforce as many of you do around the room. However, we are connected and we do partner on different initiatives, and we understand that to have economic development in Wisconsin, and especially in our rural area, we need a strong workforce behind it. So we've sort of switched gears a little bit over the last 5 years to really incorporate the workforce piece, and have had heavy partnership now with the Workforce Investment Board over the last several years. So I'll run through this quickly. If you have questions as we go through, please just speak up. I want to keep it very informal. Again, there's a lot here, so I'll highlight what I think is kind of important for today. We have the same footprint as the Workforce Investment Board, so we cover the 10 counties in Northwest Wisconsin. Northwest Regional Planning Commission is actually the oldest planning commission in Wisconsin, so we are celebrating our 60th year this year, which is pretty impressive. Our mission statement just reads, that we're a leader, coordinator, advisor. We try to be a partner. We accomplish this through basically our core functions at the Planning Commission are planning, community development, and economic development. We're made up of a commission of many of our county executives, so our county chairs make up our executive committee. We also incorporate the 5 tribal nations, and that just kind of lays out the region and population and how many cities, towns, villages we have. So this is sort of the overview of the whole organization. Again, we have our planning, community development. We also do mapping services. We have a housing piece and element, as well as economic development, environmental, and just our in-house admin and fiscal. So we do provide technical assistance and planning services for all of our basically municipalities across the 10-county region. We have a lot of expert staff available, so this is something that we do field a lot of different questions from communities. We do comprehensive planning, hazard mitigation planning, long-range planning. We provide all of those services. We've done a lot of that throughout the year. We've started to do a lot more resiliency and flood planning for communities since of all of the flooding that we've seen here in our part of the state over the last few years. Transit planning, again, we also do grant writing and project development to communities. Our environmental sector, I just want people to know that this exists. I know it's not super relevant for today, but we do administer recycling and hazardous waste collections, so we cover that for the 10 counties that we serve as well. We do provide opportunities for folks to bring hazard chemicals to drop them off so they don't end up in the groundwater here. So it's a great program. There's more information out on our website about it, and then we also have recycling facilities available through Washburn, Burnett, and Douglas County for residents to recycle. This is my piece of what I do at the organization. I work in our economic development branch, which ties into the workforce piece here. So we are actually the economic development district for the region, which is basically the designation that we are solely responsible for providing the economic development strategy for the region for. We work in 5-year increments, so we do a vision and strategy, which we'll be redoing again in October for the next 5 years. We have revolving loan funds, so we administer many of those, and these are kind of the different administration agencies that we have underneath that umbrella for business services and revolving loan programs that we provide. Visions Northwest is under the umbrella of Northwest Regional Planning Commission. However, we are sort of a separate entity. But we're the regional economic development organization. There's 9 of those across the state. You'll see the map there. So we serve the same footprint as well. We are a newer organization. We were established in 2012. We have a separate board of directors than the Planning Commission, which Mari sits on and has, I think, from the beginning in 2012. And we receive our funding from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation for base funding operations. So just a kind of an overview of visions. We have a different board of directors. We have incorporated not just counties and municipalities, but we actually have higher education chambers, workforce development, and then that private business sector or industry as well. Visions board is actually the steering committee or the HUD strategy committee, so that 5-year plan that I was talking about, the visions group is actually the board that drives that process. So through the partnership with the Workforce Investment Board and Northward, another acronym for you, but the Wisconsin Educators for Regional Development, we have started to do this this platform. We've called it RISE, so it's Regional Insights on the Economy. We've been doing it now since 2016, and we've had several different focus topics through the years, but many of them are workforce related. This year we did take a little bit of a turn and focused on business startups and entrepreneurship, but we've really took a hard look in the first year at what were the economic status and trends of the region, and then from that we've derived basically the next 3 years, and we'll continue to do that as we move forward. They're great sessions. We spread them out throughout the region, so we hit many different communities throughout the 4 years that we've done them and have had really good feedback and good conversations. So this is the most involved that we are in the workforce piece of things, but we are partnering with the WIB on Inspire Northward, which is a platform that provides that direct connection between students in high school and area employers. And looks like my pal Melissa brought a handout. So some of you may have heard of this. I know I've seen many of you around the region, but we are working directly on this project, and we are going out and basically recruiting businesses to sign up on the platform to provide a opportunity for them to have a presence that students can access through career cruising, which these students are already engaged with through academic career planning at their schools. And right now, things are in a bit of a transition state, so I won't go too deep into it, but it's transitioning into a new platform called Zello. So career cruising is basically getting a new name and a new look, and Inspire is still going to be incorporated into that. There's a bit of a dark phase happening right now. Things are going to be transitioned between basically, I think it actually started this week, through I think the very beginning of the school year. So once the transition is fully occurred, students will then again be able to access Inspire through the new platform called Zello. We've had, I think, about 35 businesses onboarded throughout our 10-county region. We've done a lot of outreach, and we're kind of hoping that the transition to Zello will allow us an opportunity to revamp and kind of resell the opportunity for business employers to be a part of it. It's something that students are online, they're accessing things through the computer, so it's a great way for, even if businesses don't want to engage to that next level of offering a job shadow or opportunity for a mock interview or something, they can still have that presence. So when you're talking about how, many people that live here don't know what opportunities exist, this is kind of that direct connection that we can provide to them. Won't get too much into this, but we also have the Wood Industry Collaborative under the umbrella of Visions Northwest. We partner with the Grow North region on this. Brad is actually a part of that and has been for many couple of years, I guess we've been in place, but we're working basically just in this wood industry sector to try to educate and grow the workforce piece of that as well. We're working to form those important legislative partnerships to help grow and encourage investment in that important industry in our region. It's one of the biggest economic drivers that we have in our northern part of the state. This is just on the handout. I wanted to provide it to you, but these are our loan programs that we have. We help a lot of businesses across the region. We work as a gap financer, so we work directly with financial institutions on projects and come in with that next gap to get the business what they need to expand, to purchase equipment, different things like that. Some of the numbers that we have there. We also have an enterprise center network. We have, I think there's 10 enterprise centers throughout the region that we provide basically the space. We have businesses rent from us, and we allow them to kind of nurture them to grow, give them business services. We help them with business planning, technical assistance, and we've had lots of graduates from those facilities. They're not technically incubators. They are sort of called that. We've had some long-term residents in some of our facilities, but the idea is to start that business in a small space where we can encourage them, take care of them, help them, provide them services, and then let them grow and expand into something larger. This is also just an FYI. We have a housing program that's very underutilized, in my opinion, in our region. It is for low to moderate income folks, but we do provide housing rehabilitation for basically any emergency housing repairs. We do basically any construction. If it's if you have a water heater that fails furnace, I'd encourage you to just know about this program because it's something that I know many of you work with this population and have an opportunity maybe to just know about it and refer them to us. We have.
Where do you direct them to go to?
So you could either direct them to our website, just nwrpc.com. There's a services tab that has all of our housing information on it. It actually even has the income requirements for it because there are basically 3 things that have to have. You have to be under income, you have to have insurance on your property, and you have to own your home. So we do get folks that call and they don't fit one of those things, so they're not eligible for the program. So it's a good way to kind of let them look before they call. However, we would field that on the phone call as well. But then if they are eligible under those first just few questions, we'd send them the application package and they move forward with that process. Basically what it is too is it's a deferred payment mortgage on the property, so they are not required to pay anything until they actually sell the home or it comes to an estate at that point. So they are welcome to pay on it, but it's not something that they're required to do. So it's a great resource out there for that population that does need improvements on their property and aren't able to do that on their own. We also do have emergency assistance with many of the flood issues and tornadoes and different things like that that we can provide for residents that fit into that same income bracket, and those are forgivable actually. So there's not a repayment on the emergency loans that we do have. Those are just the names of the housing programs that we have. And that was a lot, but like I said, I wanted to use this too because I don't always get in the room with many folks like you. So I want you to know that we're here, we exist, we're ready to partner on things. We are a really great resource, especially in connection with any legislative partnerships. We have a lot of those in place, and it for us many times can just be a quick call to someone that we are already connected with. So please know that we're here and utilize us as we can.
I think your board of directors is made up of all the county board chairs.
It is, right? That's our executive committee. The commission is larger, the commission as a whole, and that actually is from, there's alternates, and then there's all the cities that have populations over a certain amount. But, yeah. So 10 county board members meet actually every month in our. Thanks. Any questions for me?
You never want to be the person that follow.
You can use your hands.
Well, again, my name is Brad Gass. I'm from the NTC. My role there. A lot of our services mirror what our colleagues at WITC have in terms of adult basic education, ELL, just the career services, those types of things. Our district only overlaps Price and Taylor County, so we have a little chunk of the southeastern area of this particular region, and really, those services are there. And see, we're seeing that that employment field, the workforce. There's some kind of gap now in terms of individuals who are not being able to find employment. So we're doing a lot of the services. Language seems to be a barrier. A criminal record seems to be a barrier, and or addiction to some kind of substance seems to be a barrier. So we're doing a lot of working with students in that particular realm. In Price County in particular, we've seen a lot of manufacturers. They'll have dislocated workers, so we have an emergency response team that comes out and talks with those employees that are being dislocated. Right now, Flammable Rivers is kind of on shaky ground a little bit, so we've had a number of conversations with those folks to provide services free of charge to those employees to get them opportunities in terms of what's next, where can they go for services and resources, and then financial resources in terms of if they would choose to go into a career path or schooling, what financial resources are available. We have a couple of new programs in terms of financial resources. So if we look at the NTC district, 85% of our students receive some kind of financial assistance. So the entire region, if you start the north of Highway 29, is economically it's one of the highest percentages in the state as far as needing financial assistance for schooling. So we created a NTC Promise program for high school students. They're eligible based on their And new this year, coming fall, we're doing a pilot program for adults as well. So both of those are a high need, and we see finances be one of the largest barriers in terms of being able to further education, even if it's a course. Our research shows that $100 is the difference between a student staying in school and dropping out of school. So it's that razor thin in terms of students, so we see a lot of that. We do a lot of customized programs. And I think this is becoming bigger and bigger as you look at where the economy is going and in terms of needs of employers. So our big initiative now is non-credit credit pathways and micro-credentials. And truly partnering with employers to say, what are the specific skills that you need to be able to hire these individuals? And for individuals, they may not need an associate degree. They may not need a one-year technical diploma. They may need a 48-hour boot camp to be able to upskill themselves so they can get a family-sustaining wage, a living wage, so to speak. So we're doing a lot of that. We partner. We've done some customized programs in welding and machine tool at our Phillips campus. And I think one of the things that we're really looking at is what is the other barrier? The other barrier is just geography. As we start looking at northern Wisconsin, trying to get access to services, it becomes a little bit more challenging. So I'm going to just pass out. We have a new tool. It's our Advanced Manufacturing Mobile Lab. This is in partnership with the DWD. And the cool thing about this is since it is really a DWD type program, it's not restricted to NTC district. So this is something WITC you can take advantage of if you have programs. It's really a statewide tool. But really, it is a phenomenal piece of equipment. It's a 53-foot trailer that folds out, so you walk in there, you can fit 24 students in there. We have computer stations, we have a Haas machine in there, we have a virtual welder in there. We're talking about using it for apprenticeship classes, but really it's designed to bring that training to a local job center for a period of time, to a high school, to an employer who's looking to hire and upskill workers, to incumbent employees who need just upskill in general. So it's a tool that I wanted to make you aware of that is available. That really just came online this past year. And unfortunately, the piece of equipment is sitting in Detroit right now because we had some technical difficulties with our manufacturer. But it's coming back here in the next couple of weeks. And we really look to use that as a tool and a resource. And our target is really to serve rural counties with that. They have the least access to some of these equipments and some of these services, so that really is our goal with that particular piece. The other piece that I wanted to share with you is, as I talked about micro-credentials and partnering with employees, we created a pilot program in the Wausau region with 4 manufacturers. It's called Move to Manufacturing. That flyer is coming out. And really, we talked to employers and said, what is the barrier to you getting employees into your organization? And they talked about that entry-level worker, the assembly worker, that they're missing some of the adult basic skills, they're missing some of the employment skills, communication, teamwork. And they challenge us to come up with a very short-term program to be able to address some of those pieces. So this is Move to Manufacturing. It is an 8-hour online module that is free of charge. So the individuals go through this, never pay a cent through this program. It teaches them some of those adult basic skills, how to read a tape measure, blueprints, you name it, some of the workplace skills. And then they have a 3-day boot camp that they go through. How do you handle a hammer drill? How do you handle a drill? Because their employers are coming to us and say they got hurt the first day on the job because they don't know how to work with this equipment. I haven't worked at a manufacturing site at all. So overall, it's about a 24-hour total program. The four employers that we partnered with have made this free of charge for all of the students, and they're guaranteed a job interview when they come up with any one of those 4 employers. What we've seen right now is a 100% placement rate in this program. So this is a scalable program, so I just wanted to highlight that today. The online program is obviously available as we speak, and then what we're looking to do is scale this throughout the region and say, okay, what area manufacturers can we continue to partner with and bring these boot camps out into these regions to be able to really target, what is that employment need and what skills are needed, and we can customize that for that region. So these 4 employers really decided on what the competencies were, And they told us this is what we want in the program, that we will hire these people if they have these skills. So just wanted to highlight that in terms of things that we're really looking to try to be a little bit more creative and get away from, hey, you need to come 2 years for school, because if somebody told me that, I would not want to do that, because that's a huge barrier. It's just like, gosh, that's way out there. But here's a chunk, and then the cool thing about this is with our non-credit to credit pathway, if they choose to come back and they want to do an associate degree or technical diploma, these will transfer as credits into those programs. So it's all seamless for the employee. So as they evolve within that manufacturer, they're able to continue to add on to those skills, and so it ends up being. I think we'll stop there. I could have made this probably 3 hours and stood in front of the room just like you, but I wanted to be brief and to really highlight some of the things that may be of interest for you. So, any questions?
I have a whole bunch of questions, but maybe I should just talk about it.
Well, this is the time, because
Yeah.
other people may have them as well and just aren't asking.
I'm really interested in the Advanced Manufacturing Mobile Lab. Does it come with facilitators or teachers?
Correct. Yep. So
Okay.
that's our full-time instructors facilitate that piece. They've been working with either the employer or the high schools. Some of them we can do train the trainer. We've done that especially with high schools to say, hey, we can bring this lab here to a train the trainer session, and then have those high school teachers lead their classes, and just really get those young men and women exposed to what advanced manufacturing looks like, and bring it on site to their schools.
And how, does it stay like in one place for, it's not like a 1 day thing, it's.
It could be
there
a 1 day or a 1 month thing. You've seen both.
Okay.
We've seen both. So at Anago, we pulled it up for a job event, so we had that, in there. We had it over at a high school for a period of 3 weeks, as they built it into their curriculum.
And there is a cost.
Yeah.
There is a
Yeah.
cost, yes. So that's the big thing is we would work with you. We have some grant dollars available this year to help offset those costs, but there is a cost involved, and really mainly it's just for the cost of instruction. Yes.
Have you thought about using it for ABE or GED?
We definitely could. That wasn't the original intent, but as we've had additional conversations with individuals and say bringing this out and then using it in that model as well is definitely something that would be available. Yep. Thank you.
Well, you're up.
The main question asker is not going to.
So, and then while she's sorting, I just want to sort of preface too, just so everybody's aware. Whereas maybe the libraries were always a partner, but maybe weren't like a traditional or emphasized partner. State of Wisconsin does have a grant that DPI wrote with Wisconsin Workforce Development Association called the LOGS grant. I don't remember what the acronym stands for.
I wrote it down.
Library Access Workforce Development.
Library activating workforce development
yeah.
skills.
So we have had the opportunity though as a workforce system to have more conversations with the libraries, because a lot of, especially rural, we don't have a job center or office or a location. People are going to go to the library to file their UI claim or do. So the librarians are sometimes not necessarily always aware of all of the different reasons. And then don't necessarily know who to make the referrals to or to share information, but they're still called on almost as a workforce development professional. So we wanted to work better with the libraries, not to add to their workload, but to enhance what they're already doing so that they have the tools that they needed to be successful once they're working with the different consumers coming in. So that grant just kicked off, the big kickoff is actually in a couple of weeks, done by Madison. But so we were able to have a really good conversation. The 3 library systems in our 10 counties just over a lunch, and it was a really long lunch, but we got a lot of the problems solved. But so I wanted to make sure that the libraries were here though, because this is such valuable information to them. And then again, to activate in other people's minds that the libraries are a huge resource in terms of that's our community points usually in these little tiny towns. Is it's usually a library, and so you need to reach out. That's a great way to do it. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Again, I'm Leah Lange. I'm from the IFLS library system. We serve, there's a little map here because it's very confusing, all the different things about everyone's territory is a little different. There are 16 library systems in Wisconsin, and there are 382 public libraries in our state. So that's a lot. And as you know, most very small towns have a library. Sometimes it's staffed by one person and is open 20 hours a week sometimes. But it is something that's really kind of everywhere, and a lot of people who have some transportation issues to get to a technical college are able to get to a library. So that's something that happens. Also, libraries, one of the main things that libraries are doing right now is providing a lot of internet access. And as you all know, especially in rural areas, that's not a given. No matter what your income is, you might not have internet access. So they do provide a lot of internet access. At a minimum, all of the libraries in our state are providing that, and usually Wi-Fi access. But also materials that people can borrow, that will help with workforce skills. They also provide printers, but a lot of times what happens is libraries are ending up providing help with basic computer skills. So people are coming in, oh my God, I have to file for unemployment insurance. I don't know even how to work a mouse. So they're dealing with people in really high stress kind of situations with time sensitive things and high, it's really frustrating that is something a lot of libraries are doing a lot of work in that area, helping people apply for jobs that, most employers require it online now. Again, and we don't have digital skills that are stressful. So that is definitely something that's happening. They also there are libraries and at least I know in my system that are providing help. Creating resumes and, offering software that will help with that. There's certainly books and things like that and other materials. Several of the libraries in this region also have access to Gale courses. I don't know if you know that, but it is not something our system is doing, so I'm not super familiar with it, but most of the libraries in this area have access to Gale courses, which is a lot of it is very workforce development friendly, and there are courses that people can take, and it's all online and digital, so people can do that at the library if they don't have internet.
And there's thousands.
There's a lot of courses,
So, and they're all free.
Yeah. Our system, unfortunately, decided to go with Linda. However, now Linda has been purchased by LinkedIn Learning, which means that in order for people to access those videos, they have to have a LinkedIn account, which has a lot of privacy issues for libraries, and we just found out from our state our state agency that there's enough conflict there that it's very problematic. So we are not going to be renewing our subscription to Linda, unfortunately. That was a great resource, but don't tell people about that. So I guess, the biggest challenge that the local libraries are seeing is just that when you combine online applications and forms and deadlines and people with few digital skills, that can really equal a lot of frustrated people. It can also mean that the libraries that are not very well staffed have a hard time carving out that one-on-one. And if there's transportation issues or whatever, that can be a challenge. And usually, like when people come in and they have to file for unemployment insurance, they're not really interested in being referred to, like, here's this, online computer tutorial that you can take so that you know how to do, this.
Right.
Do these mouse exercises, so there's some challenge there. The library systems, there's kind of, we made a little map for you to kind of help you understand what's what. But what we are really interested and excited to do is partner with some more regional agencies to help disseminate information to the libraries we work with about all the great resources. I'm taking all of these copious notes because I'm really excited about making these connections with all of you. We do coordinate continuing education for the libraries, so that's, like if you have information that you want to get out, if you want to do a webinar for librarians to make sure people really understand what resources that you have to offer to the public and that they can help you, refer people to you, that is something that we're really interested in.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I don't think I have anything, except that I'm interested to find out what happens with this LAWS grant. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go, but however, if nothing else, it has gotten us kind of reactivated in connecting with each other, so that's a really good thing.
So for those of you who are Job Center partners, through the grant, they're actually developing modules for librarians. And so the first module, I guess, is currently being done and will be actually at Milwaukee at the event in August. And so I'm not sure either. I haven't seen them, but again, it was going swimmingly until it ended up in Madison. But at least on the local level, again, yes, it connected, us to the So locally, we can make it work, and I think at least that part was really good. So, and then having her.
Well, the other thing I forgot to mention is that libraries, I know that some job service people do go out to libraries and meet with people one-on-one there. And that's really great. I think that in many of our more rural libraries, and I know that some people find that you go to a really rural location with your limited time, and there's maybe one person who's signed up, then that can feel frustrating as well. So I think that, there are libraries that would be willing and interested in looking at technology options to kind of solve that, setting up a room with some kind of remote connection so that you can go remotely or something like that. I think that there are a lot of opportunities there. So, depending on the library. Some libraries are like this big.
I'd just like to make a comment. I work mainly with Price, Rusk, and Washburn counties, and all those libraries, when you have to meet somebody, you need a place, the library can bend over backwards to help you out. It's really a great thing that we can do that. Just wanted to tell you that.
Good, I appreciate it.
Hawkins and Park
Hawkins,
Falls and
yeah.
Ladysmith and all over, so.
Any other questions for Leah?
Question for you is I wrote down that. Work with you? Should we work with the individual libraries? What's their best tactic and strategy to be able to build that bond a little bit stronger?
I think it depends on what you're wanting to do. So if you're wanting to get information out to all the libraries about, here's just something that we, here's what we provide, it might be most efficient for you to go through us, because then we can we easily get that out to people, or we can share information with you about who's a good person to contact. It might be, I guess if you're looking for, if you have a specific project in a specific area, or if you're like, hey, we want to bring our advanced advanced manufacturing mobile lab to your community, can you host us? That kind of thing, that would be great to work individually.
That makes sense, yeah.
One more question for you, or one question for you. I was under the assumption that we were more libraries in Russ County, MORE libraries. Is that a different, is that apples and oranges, or?
The shared catalog that is in the IFLS library system, which is in Ruskin Price County, is called MORE.
Oh, so it's
yeah.
part of the, oh, I see.
Yeah. So.
Hi, I'm Winnie. I'm with Northwest Sub. So a couple of things that Sub does, well, besides, we, let's back up here a minute. Yeah, I can talk today. We oversee or partner with Job Center of Wisconsin, and we oversee the job centers in Ashland, Superior, and Park Falls. And then we also have some what we call satellite. We have a girl that comes here to WITC 2 days a week, and we have another one that goes to WITC and we work with individuals in helping them with their unemployment and with job services. We also have the grant for WIOA Title I. We can help them with occupational training, support services, employer services, work experience opportunities. I personally work, as far as in that grant, I'm the business consultant. And what I do is I go out and talk to the businesses about some of the programs that we have, one of them being the on-the-job training program through WIOA, where we can, if the individual qualifies for WIOA and the business qualifies for some of the parameters, or all the parameters, we can offer up to 50% of the training wages up to 16 weeks. So that's always a really good benefit. Problem is go out to the businesses now, they look at me and they say, so do you have anybody? Oh, I really don't, but I just thought I'd come and tell you. You know, it's just like that. We also are a placement vendor for DVR, and we are currently looking to hire one more individual to cover our southern counties to better service the DVR clientele that are there. We also have a finger in the FSET program, Food Share Employment and Training. We're been a couple of years. I actually was the work readiness specialist for that. It's if individuals are currently collecting food share and they are eligible and they do not meet an exemption, they need to enroll in what's called Food Share Employment and Training within a 3-month period, or they run the risk of losing their food share for 3 years. Now, this is entirely a voluntary program, so they don't need to enroll in the FSET program, but at that point, they're volunteering to give up their food share for 3 years, is what it is. And program is based as far as trying to help individuals find employment. And they also have services that can be used, supportive services, once they have found employment or in the process of finding employment, where it comes from interview clothes, bus passes, or gas cards for Quick Trip. Okay. We also have in our youth, we have Youth Build Ashland, which I'm not 100% positive what.
Yep, so, and Deb, step in too.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Actually, why don't you go ahead?
I can talk about it too when it comes around, but we applied for Youth Build in partnership
Yep.
with the Red Cliff and Bad River tribes, as well as Western Dairyland in Fall Creek. So we were awarded that in February of this last year. So that is a great super great project, and it's in partnership with the WIOA program. So those individuals, it's a WIOA program, but those individuals can also be enrolled in WIOA Title I services through Northwest Staff, who's a service provider for the region. So I hear they're just starting on one of the reservations here. They're just getting started. So, yeah, we're excited about that. It's a 3-year grant, and they're building, like I said, 6 different homes in 2 years, and then we have a year of follow-up services for that grant. So it's a regional partnership collaborative grant, which really helped get us the grant because, like I say, if we collaborate regionally, we're much stronger, much stronger. It's also that way. So.
Also, as our focus on youth, we also have Above and Beyond, which is done in Superior, Douglas County, and what that is it's for 18 to 24-year-olds that are WIOA eligible, and it introduces them to avionics careers with a combination of work experience restoring vintage aircrafts, training at WITC or at LSC, and then with the hopes of obtaining employment. There's a wide variety of employers in the Superior area that are in avionics. We have that. Then we also have what's called CREX, and they need to be Title I, WIOA Title I eligible or DBR eligible. And it's a camp that we have over at CREX Meadows in Grantsburg. And the individuals that qualify that are able to go to that camp, they are working in conjunction. They help like natural resources, and they ban geese, and they've done some cleaning, things to that nature, and they get paid for it. So it's like an educational program as well. And then we have the one that I'm doing mostly right now, is what's called the Transitional Jobs Program. It's a grant through the Department of Children and Family for individuals between the ages of 18 and 64. If they are over the age of 24, they need to be the parent or guardian of a child under the age of 18, or have a child support order for a child under the age of 18, and they need to be a felon or an ex-felon. And what I do with them once they qualify for the program is I help them obtain employment. If they are currently incarcerated and they have Huber privileges, I do a lot of the legwork for them, because they really can't get out and do job search and things of that nature. And if they are out, they have to do most of the legwork, and I just do the supportive services for them. What it is STEP is allowed to become the employer of record once they found employment for 1,040 hours. And we also cover all the workers' compensation during that period. We are only allowed to pay $7.25 an hour, but if the employer pays, let's say, $10 an hour, and I go and I talk to them about the program, and they're like, oh yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I think we're gonna do that with you. I say, okay, well, you pay $10 an hour, I'll pay the individual $10 an hour, and I'll bill you for $2.75. That way he's making the wage as everybody else is, with the intention that it's not free labor, that the individual will get a job permanently with that employer before the 1,040 hours is up. Any questions?
One thing you didn't touch on is rapid response, and you guys take the lead on that, so that's why I didn't bring it up.
Yep. And then when you were talking, I was thinking about that, but I didn't. So what it is that within the 10 counties that we cover, if there's a business that is downsizing or going out of business, we coordinate what's called a rapid response meeting. And what that is that we contact all of our partners, NTC, WITC, Job Service, Unemployment, DVR, that's the whole gamut that we have. And we set up meetings for the employees to tell them these are the services that are out there for you. This is what we can do to help you. If you have questions, this is how you can get a hold of people. And we direct them to our job service offices. Pliable River Papers is a perfect example. We were expecting 60-some layoffs by the end of or beginning of July, and June 7th they closed their doors. and we had 180. So we had quite a few people, but they've reopened now. So they have taken back some of their people, but that's in what we do. Caterpillar, when Caterpillar closed, when we Kmart, Jobco, you know, we were there, we were helping them, so, yeah.
So what do you do when you go into?
What do we do is we, organize meetings, and we have them, if they're not closed already, the businesses are not closed already, we try and work around what the major schedules are. We could be there at 6 o'clock in the morning, we could be there at 5 o'clock at night. And we bring the partners with us, or we invite them there with their information, and then they have 10, 15 minutes to talk and explain what they do and what they can do to help these individuals. And then we have a Q&A.
And they get instructions
They
to
get
how to
instructions
apply for unemployment
unemployment.
and what the next step of their job seeking strategies should be.
And a good understanding of all of the resources, whether
Right.
they be just paper resources or actual financial resources that are available to them so that they can feel better about their current situation, or at least know that they've got an avenue.
And I think the most important thing that comes out of the meeting is who they can reach out to right away and get some help. Because most of them are really, they have, you know, it's like going through the grieving process. They're really stunned by when the company closes. So they find numbers to reach out to, people to reach out and get help.
Yes, just not being as well connected in the workforce side of things. When you say WIOA eligible, what does that mean exactly? Is it a whole bunch of different things?
It's a whole bunch of different things.
That's what I
All
thought.
depends on what classification is. There's in-school youth, out-of-school youth, there's adults, and then there's dislocated workers. And all four of those, have different qualifications.
Okay. But primarily, it's going to be income.
That's what I was gonna ask, is there an overarching piece?
Like the in-school youth piece, so the youth that are ages 14 to 18, basically forget about, I mean, not forget about, but like, there's so little resources that are left in the act for them that there's just not a lot we can do anymore. But then the out-of-school youth, 18 to 24, they can have, there could be barriers. So sometimes they have, you know, they can be low income or have certain barriers that will make them eligible.
Okay.
And then anyone can be co-enrolled. So DVR and WIOA can have somebody and both be contributing resources at work. FSET and WIOA can co-enroll and contribute resources. So we'll do that often, and that's actually always encouraged, because as crazy as it seems, they've got all these different programs, and they fund them all separately, but then they want you to work together. It's so much easier when you just put all the money into one pot and go crazy. But so yeah, you can co-enroll. So there is opportunities to do that, but it is going to be primarily like displaced homemakers, like that always cracks me up as a category, but we get a lot of people who, they haven't had an income because they've been raising a family and then, you know, the spouse leaves and they need help. And so a lot of, then there's certain qualifications that can be overridden.
Veterans, we are the Office of Veteran Employment Services. We are a part of DWD, but we are also directly funded by DOL, Department of Labor. So under their mandate, we are required to work with veterans that have significant barriers to employment. Some of those barriers may be disability, Vietnam era, transitioning out of the military. There's a couple different, 11 different ones I think altogether. We determine this by a screening form that we have available at the job centers. As it turns out, approximately 70% of the veterans that attend the job center don't require our services and are directly helped by the job center partners at that point. If they are determined to need our help, they would meet with Tom, who is a Disabled Veteran Outreach Program representative for WDA-7 here, and he would do an assessment to see what type of help this person needs to be work ready. Even though they might have a significant barrier to employment, they might have a disability, say, they may still not need direct case management. Our determination of disability is a lot different than DVR or somebody else. Sleep apnea is considered a 50% disability through the VA. So that might be their disability. So it may not require services of Tom as direct. So we might just go ahead and refer them to a partner agency or a training program. So basically, what Tom does is direct case management with those veterans that need maybe some help with the resume, maybe with interview skills. They might have another issue that he can refer them to a partner agency, maybe a training program to get them work ready. So he'll do a individual employment plan on this person, and as they go through those categories and complete it, they become work ready, and then Tom will help them as far as that's concerned. My job as a local veterans employment rep is the business services side of the program. We'll go out to businesses and be part of the business service team and to educate employers on veteran programs, incentive programs, or perhaps some individual issues that the employer might have with understanding the veterans as far as veteran speak versus civilian speak and some of the education or certifications they had in the military, which is probably the biggest thing that we have right now. And in some cases, it's actually going through the business itself as an individual for one individual veteran to see if there are some triggers within that area that might affect this veteran and how we can help that. One of the biggest things that I see a need for in companies is probably a veteran mentor within the company that can be on that interview panel or to help that veteran first start the job, help them get into it. Veterans seem to talk to veterans in the region. That's why we also have an issue with job centers when we say they have to fill out this veteran screening form. If they don't qualify, then they meet with the job center personnel. Sometimes they don't want to do that. Well, I want to talk with a veteran. So there again, we're not going to turn any veteran away. So Tom will go ahead and meet with that person and determine what kind of help they would need. And, right now, the veteran unemployment rate is extremely low. So basically, the veterans that are looking for work are either in school, in UI-approved training programs, or working with Tom that they have a barrier. So when an employer contacts me, I need veterans, I say, yeah, well, it's not that easy to do because veterans are snatched up very quickly. Our big thing also, as I said before, is referrals. So we refer a lot of them to either SEP or Workforce Resources, DVR, other veteran agencies, SSVF, some emergency services that they can utilize. So we're kind of almost a referral service because a veteran with any question, regardless of what it is, can come to us and we can refer them to that specific person. A lot of it also is with the technical colleges. There's usually a veteran rep at each technical college. We'll refer them directly to that veteran rep to help them get started with either GI Bill or Wisconsin GI Bill, whatever can help them. And then county vet service officers also, which is for benefits. So we have a leaver and a DVOP in each WDA, but I cover 7 and 8, so I cover 19 counties, and Tom covers WDA 7. So a lot of times also, even though Tom works with the person and I work with the companies, the person becomes work ready. It's merely a thing of getting them on JCW or Indeed and looking for that job, just notifying that they are a veteran on their application. A lot of times that's all it takes to get that person in because, as I said, they're usually snatched up pretty quickly. So it kind of limits what I do as far as helping in these territories. Tom, you got anything else to add?
Well, I can expand on what I do, but otherwise I think we pretty much captured it pretty well. It's just a two-pronged approach, just like SEP does and DVR. You got one person out talking to employers and the other person working with one-on-one. So, do you have any questions, specific questions or anything?
I think it's worth mentioning, Tom and Brian, that veterans have preference to see jobs 24 hours before anybody else on jobcenterwisconsin.com. So they can have a leap out the door. If they identify themselves as a veteran, they get to see jobs before the general public.
They also receive WRA funding before anyone else. If there was a limited funding situation, it was a priority.
Right, priority of service. So then everything being the same, if you have training program or program available. You have 10 people going for that, and there's only 3 slots open. The veteran would have priority service for one of the slots. Everything being with a veteran specialist.
With that pre-screen form that they go through at the job center, I don't tell them that it's, it'll exclude them from my working with them, but it's just telling us which program they qualify for, who's gonna be able to work with them. Me, or will it be the job center, what's that?
A lot of the veterans, like I said, basically it's just getting them into JCW, getting them in contact with employers, showing them how to do upload the resume. A lot of the, I wouldn't say simple tasks, but a lot of the easier tasks that any one of the partners can do. So they want us to basically really focus on the ones that really need our help the most. So we get the quality more. So that. Any other questions? I do have cards and brochures available for any of you that don't have it. I know most of you do.
Thomas?
Yes, I'm Thomas Michaels. I'm a labor market economist. I work for a bureau within DWD. It's actually in the same division as the Job Services team. The abbreviation is BWITS, which stands for the Bureau of
Probably workforce.
Workforce. Let's see, the Bureau of Workforce Information and Technical Services. And back when so there's two separate sections within that. One is the LMI, the Labor Market Information Group, and they're all down in Madison. Used to be separate from the other group, the Office of Economic Advisors. But it seems like every 10 years they separate us and then put us back in one group and separate us. So now we're back in one group under the Bureau. So the LMI group, they actually make the data, like the unemployment rate, the industry employment numbers that come out monthly and quarterly. And then it's OEA's job to analyze the data, gather it, analyze it, and then present it to whoever wants it. So I actually have a little handout here that gives some examples of what the Office of Economic Advisors does with my card as well. And so some examples of what we do is give presentations of economic data, write reports, make county profiles. That's a big product of ours. Every 2 years we write county profiles. This year is the first year where we're actually going to put an interactive version of it on our website, wisconomy.com, where you can customize the graphs and stuff found in the report and then print it out. We can do just about anything. Even if you don't have the data, even if the data doesn't exist, we can find it and try and produce it. We can replicate national studies. We can do just about anything. My specialty within the work group is mapping. We have regional economists scattered throughout the state. I cover the northwest 10 counties of Wisconsin, but then we have an economist in the Wausau area, in the Green Bay area, down in Milwaukee, Madison, Eau Claire, and La Crosse. The economist in La Crosse is retiring in about 2.5 weeks. So after that, we won't have one in La Crosse. Then we have 2 projectionists down in Madison and a researcher that works down in Madison. And so the projectionists, they come out with 2-year occupation and industry projections for the state of Wisconsin, and then 10-year projections for the state of Wisconsin and for each WDA region. So those are helpful for a lot of people to make plans for the future. I know in the past I've helped different municipalities try and optimize their bus routes, because with my mapping background, I can kind of map where the large employers are and then overlay that with where the bus routes are. So that was kind of a cool project that I've done in the past. What else? Helping private nonprofits estimate their economic impact in the region for fundraising purposes. I've done that. Just working with the business services team, providing economic data, working with the board to provide economic data, presenting at different events. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all on that piece of paper there.
Are your services free?
Yeah, free. We're basically a free consulting firm, you know. Yeah.
And Thomas does a monthly report for the workforce board that we always share on social media that shows all of the counties what the not seasonally adjusted unemployment rate is, where our workforce board region falls compared to the other 10, and usually we're always in a good tie with Milwaukee, or sometimes one or the other will go ahead in terms of unemployment rate. We just added the QCEW annual or average wage for each county, so that was really surprising because maybe some of the ones that you would think would be lower aren't, like Iron County, which traditionally is very high unemployment, actually has a very high medium wage. And that actually was an interesting conversation just in terms of looking into that and why. So, and then did you talk about Wisconsin?
Wisconsin.com, that's our website. It's housed on the Job Center of Wisconsin website. That has all the data you could ever want and more. And we tried to make it easy to access the data because I know a lot of people that need the data, they aren't data experts. So there's a couple ways I could actually demo it real quick if you don't mind.
Don't make me get the hook though after 15 minutes. Like the Gong Show. I think if you minimize that and just open up your browser. Anybody want donuts? So many.
Those blueberry dunker.
You don't have to dunk it.
Yeah, I need something to dunk it in, you know, coffee, milk.
You can see it's part of the jobcenterofwisconsin.com. This is where you go to find all the information about OEA and all the data that we have here. So this is a simple data search. So what you can do is just click on here. We tried to just have broad categories so that, like, does anyone want data? Anyone? Just list something that you would use on a.
I've had veterans that just graduated from a training program, and then they wanted to find out, okay, where's my best shot at getting a job? So, like, in, I don't know, occupational therapy or whatever.
So occupation, all right.
Yeah.
So you just click occupation, OES, and then you could pick, let's see, we could do it county, state, Wisconsin, Ashland, Bayfield, let's pick Burnett. And then you can tell if you want broad occupation groups or very finely detailed occupation. And you could either scroll all through all these, which would be kind of tedious, or there's a search function up here. So what was your example?
Occupational therapy. Got it.
And then some stuff you can actually choose individual industries. Hourly wage, annual wage.
Wow.
Is all.
And you can do it even by the whole state where.
Yes, that's, so you can. So this is kind of exploring the data, or what you want. You can kind of explore it. Then there's another function, dashboards. This is what Tom was referring to. So there's all these different visualizations with different data sets. It's pretty cool. Like let's look at projections real quick. Fancy, huh? So this is 2016 to 2026. So this is the 10-year projections for the occupations. And you can see this is for the state. You see how many people annually are going to enter these the workforce here, transfers, and then how many people are going to exit. So it has a projected growth rate. So it has individual occupations, and you can just kind of hover, and then the little data box pops up, which is kind of nice. So there's all these tabs here that show different data. You can select different things. Northwest Wisconsin, where we are, have different categories here. Yeah, it's really cool. You could spend all week on the website. Lots of different stuff. Hot jobs. This is good for like high school students or college students. You see the most popular high-paying occupations by education.
Can you break the hot jobs down by geography or no?
Yes, I don't
like it.
No, I don't think. That would be something that you would contact me for, and then I could do it for you.
Is there the same registration? People go to this, you register, sign up.
So you don't have to get this data, but if
No,
you.
This is just there.
Right, but if you do register, there is a function under the data tools. It actually allows you to create visualizations. We have widgets somewhere on here. It's under ILMI. So when you log in, you can to your Job Center account. There's also this functionality where there's little widgets, and each one has a different data set, and so you can actually drag and drop and have stuff that you've looked for in the past automatically update whenever you log in. And so you can have a whole wall of different things that interest you. Save that. So it's kind of cool. Another thing that we have made in the past is Skills Explorer, which is a cool little thing. So a lot of times, like if someone gets laid off or their plant closes, and they've been doing this job for the last 30 years or something, they might think, well, I only know how to do this one specific set of job skills. What else could I do? with these skills. Well, this actually allows you to see what you can do. So like if I lost my job tomorrow, I could just click economist and it shows what other occupations fit the skill set of an economist. So of course, economist is at the top with 100%. But then post-secondary economics teachers, 74% in common. Actuaries, 69%. So it kind of gives you an idea of what other occupations would be good at. And it gives the earnings and the entry-level education required. And then it also gives the current openings on the jobcenterofwisconsin.com.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool.
Do you have an actuary program in any of the technical colleges?
So if you go back, Tom, when you go back to, yeah, it shows a map too. You can click on the title on the map.
So it shows the map. And then it also shows typical tasks and stuff like that. And if it requires education, it tells you, and then it actually, in some instances, it actually gives you a link to where you can get that education, like a tech college or a university. So this is a cool tool. There was a story, back when this was first created, there was a story of a meat plant. What do you call them? Butchers? I guess a butcher plant or a meat plant.
What you call it?
What do you call that? Meat processing plant. You know, they skin the cows and all that and bleed them. So that one of those was closing in Milwaukee, and they went down there. They had the people, rapid response, team and everything, and they used this skill explorer tool down there. And this guy who was cutting up cows and bleeding them for his whole life, basically, he gets a job the next day as a forklift operator at a warehouse in Milwaukee. It's like, who would have thought, you know? But his skills matched. So it's results like that are kind of cool to hear. Any questions?
That can be a great resource too. You can always, if you can't find it, you can usually point you in the right direction. Or if it's taking you 4 hours and you still can't find it, you just have something.
Just ask me right away, you know. I'll save you a headache. I'll save you a nice headache.
All right, how about Indianhead?
I'm Jennifer. Towards lower income. Some of the programs that we do, relevant programs, so we do help individuals who are starting their own, expanding their existing business. We help provide, some technical assistance. We help work them through the financials so that we can help get them ready to take that business plan to a commercial lender for some funding. We provide a small amount of gap funding for that if they can't get through a commercial lender or they need just an additional amount to help them get to their goal. One great business we did start was something called Alpaca Royale. We worked with a group, the Carries, and over the course of working with them for about 3 or so years, they ended up getting a contract with Lane Bryant to sell their wool. They had a special type of alpaca, and that they used their wool for Lane Bryant. So that's a great opportunity for them. Another program we have, we kind of specialize more now on some of our educational programs for children and families, and we have a child abuse neglect prevention grant, and that provides training opportunities to parents
So they identify ways of disciplining their children if they're struggling with communicating or just getting kids to listen, which none of us have had those issues, but have those great parenting resources, and we provide all of those services in home to parents, so we don't make parents come out. That causes additional stress, and there's barriers to that. So we do provide in-home case managers and family advocates to help with those programs. We have a program called our Early Head Start Childcare Partnership Grant, and with that grant, funded through the Office of Head Start, we work with existing childcare partners to either help them. Usually they're licensed daycares. They can be group daycares or in-home family childcares. We help them to either receive the CACFP funding for meal reimbursements for kids. And what that does is we really provide funding to help their teachers or their instructors earn additional skills, so they go on to schools, maybe they have their associate's degree, and maybe they want to go on and get a bachelor's degree. So we encourage them to do that, and we help the centers by providing them funding to increase their wages so that they can help. You want to go to school to get better wages, and so we want to be able to help provide that. And they also learn some of the creative curriculum that's taught in those schools, and we try to get them all on the Young Star ratings. And with that, we also have, that program, is for birth to 3. They can be in that Early Head Start program. And then we also offer Head Start services, and that program works with them for 3 to 5. And so it's a wonderful transition. We believe in continuity of care, so we typically would like to see the same family home visitor with them from day 1 all the way through to when they transition out of our Head Start program and into a public school system for kindergarten or first grade. And so we do those programs in our 6 counties, and we have, with those 2 programs combined, 456 kids, which means many of them are multi-generational families. And so we, again, like other programs around the world, we don't focus just on the child, we focus on the entire family. Because if the child's going to be successful, it's only going to be successful if the family is successful. So our case managers or family advocates work with families to develop goals. We help provide resources to get them through those goals. If they're looking to go on to school, we help provide those additional resources or referrals. If they're single moms who don't have support systems, we ensure that they know their way around the child support services to help get the funding that they need for that. We also have Family Foundation's home visiting, which is similar to our child abuse and neglect program. It's home visitors again, and they work. Most of our participants in that program are pregnant moms. And so we help to identify any risk factors that they may have during their pregnancies. We get them typically early enrolled into a Early Head Start childcare center that we're partnering with. Again, on the housing side, we are a little bit in the housing side. Over 4 counties, we have 125 rental units. We partner with our local housing authorities, partner with the Sawyer County Housing Authority, partner with Washburn County Housing Authorities, and Ladysmith, we manage the properties in Ladysmith ourselves with staff internally. And those are typically all rented by county median, but they're all low income, they're fixed rates, so we don't typically increase that, and so there's not a big money maker in those. But we do help clients, in those programs get either Section 8 housing or find some other type of financial assistance to help get them through their struggles. We have a legal assistance for victims program. We provide free legal help for individuals who are facing domestic violence, stalking, dating violence, anything. It's not specific to women, it's men and women visit our program. We contract with Wisconsin Childcare for legal counsel. We also partner with a couple of attorneys to provide that legal counsel, and our crisis advocates do go through the entire system with our victims or clients, because if you're in a situation of domestic violence, pursuing any type of legal action and facing that abuser is a very difficult thing to do, and many people don't go that far, and that's typically why they stay in situations they don't know how to get out. So our victim advocates typically go with them through the entire process. They can go with to any attorney visits that they might, if clients ask for them to go, we go to court with them. So I think and we've had this program, I think, since 2010 and have served well over 1,000 individuals. We see repeat individuals, but that's certainly to be expected. Another program we offer is our skills enhancement, which we haven't utilized to the best of our abilities, but we know that we need to partner a little bit better on this. And our skills enhancement is, again, provides some financial assistance, not a lot, but it does provide some financial assistance to individuals who are working at least 20 hours a week, who are interested in building those skills, getting additional skills, going on to college. It's a maximum of 2 years. They need to complete either a certificate or a degree within a 2-year period. And we want to make sure that we can help get them into a job market that's going to increase wages. So we do provide not just tuition-based. We provide the tuition, we provide for books, but we also provide for transportation, because we know barriers to getting to and from college. If people are working, they may have families, and so we also help provide funding for childcare for people to go to school. I know we've partnered with a little bit with WITC on some of that, and this year we're reaching out to NTC. I don't know if that's happened yet, but it just started in July 1 again, so hopefully you'll see somebody down there from the agency working on that. We also offer for our veterans, we have a supportive services for veterans and families, and that program really helps to creates a housing and a financial plan with our veterans. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the program that we're offering. Okay, so yeah, that program, we're in about 10 counties, 10 or 11 counties for that program. So we are up in Ashland and Douglas counties, Iron. And we provide the housing assistance. So we help pay rent. I think it's up to 6 months we can help pay rent and security deposits. We help with other utilities, things like that. We help with transportation. Our goal really is to try and get them on a stable housing plan so that eventually we can start weaning them off of our financial assistance, trying to get them job skills, trying to at least connect them with some of those skills and areas and businesses that will help support that. We really scaled back on our home health program just because of the very, very low reimbursement rates, but we still provide home health services for our veterans. We have several veteran clients on there, and we do provide that in 6 of our counties still. And one other thing I wanted to make sure I mentioned was we just recently developed a partnership with the Family Health Center, who does outpatient treatments for drug and opioid, alcohol, any type of substance abuse. They are located right at our admin building, and so we're working on how we can build a nice referral system to them and them to us. And so I think with their grant, they're limited to number of people in a few counties that we're serving, but they did say if people are coming to them, they won't ever turn anybody away. So it's an open referral. It's a walk-ins are welcome. So I didn't get a brochure for them, but maybe I could send some of this information, because I didn't bring in a folder for everybody, but if you have a shared agency, maybe grab one, and I can send this information electronically, maybe to Mari, and
Yeah,
we have
we'll
that
get
email
it up.
list, and we can send that information out. I'll make sure to include the information for Family Health Center for that service as well.
Jeff, can you remind me, what are your 6 counties, Washburn, Sawyer, Rusk?
It's Burnett, Clark, Rusk, Sawyer, Taylor, and Washburn. I gotta do it alphabetically, otherwise.
Same thing, they're like, they're always missing one.
Yeah.
Any other questions? It did remind me though, your comment about the health center, there is also North Lakes Community Clinic. Is it similar types of services in terms of, sliding scale fee, low income, AODA, mental health, a lot of children's services, dental services for children. Really depends on which location and what they've done. They've done a lot. Seem to be expanding at a rapid rate. So that would be another one that was throw in the back of your mind too in terms of. They actually even have resource coordinators, jails, and help with deployment, and so they also sort of have their fingers into the workforce development world too. So. Oh, did you help with Main Street Tacos?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. That was another one.
Yes. We love Main Street Tacos. If you've never been and you don't like lunch today, go there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Deb with Workforce Resource. And here in Region 7, we have 8 offices in the 10 counties. We partner with the job centers, and we're in Douglas, Job Center, Ashland, and Spooner. And then we also have offices in Sawyer, Burnett, Rusk, Price, and Taylor. So out of those offices, we have 3 federal grants that we operate in the region. One being, when you mentioned it, it's the FSET program. It's the Food Share Employment and Training. So anybody, what I love about this program is that anybody that is receiving food share can volunteer and take advantage of the FSET program, which is, like I said, the Food Share Employment and Training. So there's supportive services in FSET, we pay for gas and training and all of the different supportive services. So we do a lot of co-enrollments, and we leverage, we partner with Northwest SEP and actually the W-2 program too. So individuals that we serve can take advantage of as many resources as possible to get them off of public assistance and into self-sufficiency. So that's, and Winnie mentioned the individuals that were referred, and those are I don't know if you've heard of the term ABLODs, but it's able-bodied adults without dependents. So those are the individuals that if they do not participate, would lose their food share. But anybody else that has dependents can still volunteer for the program and continue on the program without losing food share. So it's just about 4 years ago that changed. So they said, if you're on food share, you're able-bodied, so you don't have an exemption, disability, and you don't have children, you don't have dependent children, then you need to participate in the FSET program to help them get into them. So that's one of the programs, and then the other one is W-2, and so that's the Tanf Program, Temporary Needed Families, and that's where they get a stipend of $653 a month, regardless of how many children they have. So some people say, they get more money if they have that stipend is $653 a month. They also, are co-enrolled, we co-enroll on an FSET, so then they get additional food share and things like that. But the actual payment a month, and those are for individuals that have dependent children under the age of 17 in the household. And so that program also, our mission is employment training. So we get people jobs. We're measured by our outcomes on the number of individuals that get employment. So it's either through long-term training, short-term training, or a lot of people just come onto the program for a short period of time. If they lose their job, we talked about the dislocated workers, we could enroll them in some of our programs along with Viola, and then move them into and then we also have independent living, which is the foster kids that age out of foster care in the counties, and getting them into housing, employment, and or training. So I didn't bring a lot of information because but we do have, like I said, we have 8 offices in the 10 counties, so you get referrals through the job center or also go to the website. So do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Like I said, I'm here covering for my supervisor, Shirley, that's the program manager for the WIO 167 program. We share brochures and business card. I'm now in a new position, so my business card, my new cards have not come. I'm the new lead case manager for the state. And our primary, we have 4 offices statewide. One in Milwaukee is our corporate headquarters, Watoma, Richland Center, and Menominee. That would be the office that works in this area. And that position is vacant, so if you have a good person in mind, kind of refer over, because we're looking to fill that position.
Which one? Oh, the Menominee one?
The Menominee. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And basically, so our criteria for our program is basically for the farm workers to be legally able to work in the states, be under income, have farm work within the past 2 years, and if they're males, be registered with Selective Service. That's our screening for them to be eligible for our program. We are working with DACA students if they're authorized, if their authorization is valid. I am currently working with the tech colleges to get our ads posted, letting everyone know that our funding is available. We just started a new program, Fiscal, and we have funding for tuition, work-related equipment, stipend, supportive services, emergency lodging, gas, food vouchers. Basically, we want to help to stabilize the individual, the farm workers, so that they can complete the training, We're hoping to work in connection with all these agencies, of which the world of resources here. And I have worked with WIOA Adult, enrolled with them. I've started working with Youth Build, I heard it mentioned over there, which is a new program for us to work with. But basically, we're looking to, join arms and find ways to broadcast what we offer to your population, the groups of people that you guys see. Any questions?
How much activity do you have in our work district?
Well, we opened, it's fairly new. It's fairly new. We had a person at the Menominee office for maybe 2 months or 3 months. That didn't work out, but we haven't been in this area for quite some years.
I know we have lots of dairy farms with
Yes.
large populations.
Because I'm jumping into this new position, so I'll be venturing out throughout the state, going to the job centers, meeting all of you, the WIOA workers, to make sure that any people that you guys have that we can co-enroll with, that basically, if they're a farm worker and have had farm work within the past 2 years, we wanna them referred over to us so that we can screen them out. We have a lot of resources available. Our hot jobs, primary trainings that we're kind of pushing are construction, healthcare, welding, transportation, and manufacturing. But we will, find if an individual is interested in something else, we can see how we can help with that.
So support for farm workers who are interested in doing something different?
Or are looking to move up within farm work.
Okay.
So if it's a upgrade in their current work, we can help with that as well. And we help migrant and seasonal farm workers. So whether they're here or they're coming from out of state, they can receive training, go back home to their home state. And as long as, we have a way of keeping contact, we're able to assist them as well. We can assist dependents of farm workers. So if the parents are the farm workers and the kids are the ones interested, because they're going to technical college, we can help them based off of the parents' farm work. Yeah.
But the parents have to be, what are your?
They have to have had farm work within the past 2 years and be under the federal poverty guideline.
And then was there something else? Do they have to be documented?
They have to be able to legally work in the US, yes. And males be registered.
I will vouch, we partnered with UMOS WITC several times. About 4 years ago, we had a young gentleman from the Shell Lake area that worked on a dairy farm, and we contacted the UMOS office through, I think it was an auction.
We used to have.
And they paid for his 2-year associate degree to attend New Richmond for the A-Power program. And then United Migrant Opportunity Service also has a migrant Head Start program. And they were housed in Rice Lake for several years, but now they're in Amory. But we've had several of the parents who came to get their GED through WITC and UMOS paid for their testing. So they're very good about partnering.
Definitely. So, there have been many instances where, we pay stipend and if another agency covers the tuition, we, cover stipend for X number of weeks, depending on what they're going into. Many ways to try and work together to help maximize the services that the client receives. Any other questions?
There's a prize for the farthest drive. Okay, so lunch will be here in 5 minutes. We bumped it up because we were out of schedule. But before I rise, any other last comments or questions or clarifications? It's a lot of information.
I need a training on all the acronyms.
Yeah. I have like a 4-page acronyms.
I'll take that.
I'll take that too.
Once you nail it, everybody.
I was hearing like,
We keep it for our board members for when they start, because no matter how hard you try, and then even like WIOA and WIOA, same thing, just pronounced differently. Like, it just depends on, so, yep, I'll send that out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then all of Melissa's been keeping a stack. So what we do is we go back and we scan everything in, and we title it, and then we put it up on our website. And so that if a year from now we're like, this, where was this? It'll sit on the Workforce Board's website, and we'll be there for you, resource as well. And then additionally, did everybody get the sign-in sheet?
Still needs to sign from you too.
Okay. Send it back this way, please. So what we'll do is we'll send up a follow-up email when everything is on the web. But then if you're looking for an email address or anything, you can always use that group. As wasn't another email, and you can. I just want to say thank you to everyone. I think I learned a ton, just about things that I didn't know were going on, so that was great. And again, I think everyone, the common theme is everyone's really willing to partner and to figure out what's the best way to maximize everything, whether it's for clients or just programmers. When we launch a program and get it off the ground, and who's got resources they can contribute. So again, don't be afraid to reach out, and you can't really reach out to the wrong person. They're just gonna be like, oh, that wasn't me. But you might want to contact this person. And if you're not sure, just let us know. And then I just want to, keep in mind too, there are several continuing education sort of opportunities coming up. There's the state-sponsored roundtable coming up this fall, and then the Wisconsin Workforce Development Association has DDCon 2020 is the new name, which I really like, which is the new collaborative. So it's Talent Development 2020. So it's focusing much more on talent development than collaboration. So I think we've got that down now. I think everybody's partnering better than before. So now how do we work together? Everyone in this room knows, yeah, come on in. It's not even if we train everyone who's not working, we still don't have enough people to do what we need to do. And so, especially some of those more specialized occupations. So how do we recruit that talent? And that's working with economic development and communities and placemaking and making it a place people want to move instead of like a last resort, as some people sort of view it. So we'll get lunch set up, take a break if you need it, and then